All right, welcome back. This is section P3, solving linear equations and inequalities. There's no doubt in my mind that you are capable of doing this section. We're just going to dust off a little bit of the cobwebs from taking probably pretty much the summer off. And so I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks, a couple of strategies, and show you how we're going to use this document that I've created for you here. Okay, so basically what needs to happen is this. You're going to solve them. So we're going to solve the upper left first. We're going to use that answer and plug it into the next one. And as you get around, so you're going to work around on these problems following the arrows. And by the end, you should have 4 answers that make sense. And by making sense, I mean, I didn't give you any crazy decimals. There are decimals, but not any crazy ones. And everything should fit nicely in there. And you should have some equations that make sense. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of the examples. And I'm going to give you the other 3. So I'll give you the other 3 to do, but I'll give you the end answer so that you know you got to go back and kind of work on them. Okay, so here we go. In this first one, we're using distributive property to say 4x minus 6 plus 3x plus 3 is equal to 5x plus 2. Okay, then it's just a combining like terms problem. So I've got 7x. And this is going to be minus 3 is equal to 5x plus 2. And I'm going to combine like terms. Minus 5x. 2x minus 3 is equal to 2. So plus 3 plus 3. So 2x is equal to 5. X is equal to 2.5. Okay? So as I look at this problem, what was important about this one? Being able to combine like terms. Use distributive property, combine like terms. So what I would do is I'd take this and I would plug it in for x in this problem. So essentially I'd have 2 times 2.5y minus 2 over 8 equals 2 plus y over 4. Using the previous answer, plugging it in. Key for this one. Okay, so the key for this one is I have denominators, so I'm going to use LCD, so least common denominator, to multiply. I'm going to suggest this. The least common denominator is equal to 8, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 8 to give myself 5y, so that would be 2 times 2.5 would be 5y minus 2. 8's cancel. This is going to be cancellation, so it's going to be, we'll do that in just a minute. I don't want to jump the gun. We'll use distributive property first to do 8 times 2, which is 16, and then this will cancel. So this will go away. This will be 2, so then plus 2y. Okay, so you're going to have 16 plus 2y. So now it looks like an equation we know how to do. As you go through this process, understand opposite operations. So the opposite of squaring is square root. The opposite of cube root is cubing. The opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Okay, so go through there, and at the end you should end up with w equals -3. Okay, so when you get done, so you're going to take the answer to this one, plug it in here. Take the answer to this one, plug it in here. You should end up with w equals -3. All right. Second half of this lesson is solving inequalities. A couple of parts about solving inequalities. If you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to switch the sign. Okay, so if you multiply by a negative, you got to switch that sign the other way. If you divide by a negative, you got to switch that sign the other way. Okay, so that's what we do for inequalities. Okay, so keep that in mind. Also, you've got some compound inequalities here. You've got a compound here. You're going to solve everything at once. Okay, so when we get down there, I'm going to show you something, show you a little trick that you can use that's going to help this. But that's the general gist. So let's solve this first one together. And use distributive property. 3x minus 3 plus 2. less than or equal to 5x plus 6. So I've got 3x minus 1 is less than or equal to 5x plus 6. If I'll go this way. It'll help us see that property in action. You're like, what's he doing? So I subtracted 5x from both sides, and then I'm going to add 1 to both sides because I want to get my x on the left and my number on the right. So this is going to be minus 2x, and then these cancel, and this is 0x is less. So minus 2x is less than or equal to 7. I divide by negative 2. There's that property we were talking about. So x, and I'm going to flip this. X is greater than or equal to negative 3.5. What I'm asking you to do is find the answer, then graph it on the number line below using what we learned in P1. Okay, so my featured number is going to be negative 3.5. And if I want the stuff that's greater than or equal to negative 3.5, that's a bracket, and it goes this way all the way up into infinity and beyond. All right? So that's the basic gist. Then you're going to use it to plug into the next one. So I'm going to take that number part, and I'm going to plug it in here. So I'm going to have negative 3.5y over negative 10.5 plus 1/2 greater than or equal to y over 4 plus 1/3. Okay. Hint. Reduce this first. How many times does negative 3.5 go into negative 10.5? All right. Then use your least common denominators again. So then LCD. So reduce, and then use your LCD. Okay. At the end, so let's check this out. Here's a double, and when I do a double, I'm just going to do a couple of steps in general. I see in the middle, so I'm actually going to solve what's in the middle, okay? Because look at this. Once I get y, I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to have, this is going to end up being a number. This is going to end up being a number. So I'm going to have a number is less than an equation or an expression is less than or equal to a number. So I'm actually going to solve what's in the middle. I see I have a 3, so I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 3. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have 3 times 1.5y less than, so 3 times this, the 3's would cancel, so I'd have 2z plus 5 is less than or equal to 3 times negative 2.5y. You're probably like, man, this is a lot. Come back to this part when you get to this problem. But what you're seeing that I'm doing is when I multiply by 3, it's basically I'm solving both sides at the same time. So instead of working on one inequality, then the other, I'm working on all of it at once. Okay. So then when I subtract 5, I'm going to subtract 5 from every side. So I subtract 5 from the middle. I'm solving that one in the middle. I'm subtracting 5. Then I'm going to subtract 5 from this one and from this one. Okay. And that's what's going to happen. When you get done, you are going to use the right side number. So you're going to use your answer on this side. That's what's going to go in here. And at the end, you're going to have W is greater than or equal to 3. That's what you're going to end up with at the end. So if you've done all 4 problems correctly, you're going to end up with W is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, guys? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.